This is the continuation of the last video. In this video, I'll be discussing about the scope of international relations. So what is the domain of international relations? So in the what comes under the international relations? So in the traditional scope, okay, in the view of traditional scope, international relations study basically focuses on the conflictual and the cooperational interactions between state in the international state system. Again, it focuses on the study of processes by which states adjust their national interest to those of other states. So in the traditional scope, states try to adjust their national interests with other states. Again, the study of struggle for power and power relationships among the states. It also studied the international laws, treaties, covenants, conventions, etc., and it study and evaluation of foreign policies of states' national interests. So these all were the traditional scope of international relations. Now in the contemporary scope, okay, so in the contemporary scope, international relations study of about the international organization in fields of politics, trade, economy, cultural, education, religion movements, etc. It also study about the international economic system, free trade, economic liberalization, globalization. Study about non-state actors like civil societies, non-governmental organizations, various social movements, social phenomena such as human rights, environmental issues, terrorism, migration, refugee, and so on and so forth. And again, like in contemporary era, international relations embraces the whole gamut of diplomatic history, international politics, international organization, international law, and area studies aimed at understanding and resolving problems and conflicts of shared global communities, which is separated by the boundaries of the nation states. So these all are the scope of the international relations. In fact, international relation is very wider and very complex and a very vast subject. So it encompasses all the issues, events, phenomena which has been occurred in the international system. Not only in the international system, it also focuses on the domestic as well as the international level. Now, what is the significance of international relations? So the first significance of the international relations, we have came to know that nation state is the main actors of international system. So how does this nation state help? Okay, so nation state help us to protect national by understanding, analyzing, and explaining events and phenomena across the national border. And nation state also helps to formulate and orient foreign policy. So how these nation states helps to formulate such kind of foreign policy so that they can maintain good relationship with other nation states in the international system. So community also help to protect the interest and the contribution as a part of a global interest at the individual level. So events, decisions, phenomenon beyond one nation's boundary affect the people of that nations. Again, like MNCs, NGOs, movements, global opinion leaders, etc., help them to play their role in the global community and international system. So IR also help to tackle terrorism, climate change, epidemic, human rights, migration, refugee, natural disaster, hunger, poverty, and etc. Okay, so the significance of international relations, we can also analyze IR helps to achieve universal values of security, freedom, progress, order, justice, welfare, and global level among people living in the separate nation states. So it we could see the significance of international relations. So it basically focuses on all the events, okay, phenomena of the international system. So that's why IR is very significant. It touches every corner of the states, okay, every aspect of the country and the human behavior. So that's why it is a very significant. And in order to understand the international relations, so there are various level of analysis. So international relations can be also understood from the individual point of analysis. Okay, so the individual point of analysis or level of analysis concerns the perceptions, choices and actions of the individual human beings. So for example, great leaders influences the course of the history and to individual citizens, thinkers, soldiers and voters. So example like people like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Lenin and many other more, with the help of their perceptions, their choices, actions, also in also helps us to understand the international system at the individual level. So second level of analysis is a domestic state or a national, and this level of analysis concerns the aggregation of individuals within states that influence state actions in the international arena. So such aggregation include interest groups, political organization and the government agencies. So take the example of Nazi Germany, okay, so Mussolini of Italy. So this also help us to understand the international system, how they are affecting, okay, so how they are affecting in the world level. Okay, so this could be analyzed from the state or the national perspectives, and these groups operates differently with the different national international effects in different kinds of societies and states. For instance, the politics of ethnic conflicts and nationalism. And the interstate or international or systemic level of analysis concerns with the influence of international system upon outcomes, and it focuses on the interaction of states themselves without regard to their internal makeup or the particular individuals who led them. So in the international system, how the nation states behave, okay, so behave, how they interact with each other. So this can be also analyzed, helps us to analyze the international system. And they pays more attention to states relative power positions in international system and the interactions, for example trade among them, so how they conduct their trade among the state in the international system. So at the global level of analysis seeks to explain international outcomes in terms of global trends such as evolution of human technology, era of globalization, and forces that transcend the interaction of states themselves at the global level. So the advent of globalization, so advent of human technology, take the example of this cyber crimes. So how these are affecting at the global level has been also analyzed from the level of analysis in the international system. Now moving towards the evolution of international relations. So while talking about the evolution of the international system, we need to go back to the pre-Westphalian period. Okay, so that is pre-1648. So in that Westphalian system, so there were so many empires were used to rule the particular states or a country. Okay, so in the case of Greek city states, so they have a Greek city state. So in the Greek city, like they have the Athenians and Spartans who used to rule the Greek city states, and again the Roman Empire, again the medieval empires in India. So in the case of India, we have so many dynasties or empires like Mughal empires, like Gupta dynasty, and there were so many empires or rulers were there in the India. In case of Iran, they have the Shah dynasty, and in the case of pre-Westphalian period, there were no any multiple and the multi-layer authority. So in the pre-Westphalian period, we could find the multiple and the multi-layer authority. Okay, so there were no any kind of territorial sovereignty and share of power and authority between church and emperor. So we could see the power has been shared by the church and the emperor in this particular period, and the society were feudal society. Okay, so society were basically based on the feudal society, and we could not find any kind of territory, okay, territorial sovereignty, and they had multiple and multiplayer authority. So that in that pre-Westphalian period, so like the nation state were not there. But after like Treaty of Westphalia, so it was signed in 1648. So the Treaty of Westphalia was signed in 1648 after the long war. Okay, so 30 years of war which has been fought in the Europe, and the civil war was going on in the Europe. So as a consequence of that, the Treaty of Westphalia was signed in 1648 in the Westphalia. So as a consequence of that, the Westphalian state system was emerged. So this Treaty of Westphalia gave the legality or equality and sovereignty of states, the concept of non-interference, okay, this concept of balance of power, so the concept of territorial integrity. Okay, so this kind of concept has been emerged from the Treaty of Westphalia, and the nation state was also emerged, established from the Treaty of Westphalia. And after the Treaty of Westphalia, so the world has seen post-Westphalian period. Okay, so during the post-Westphalian period, so the concept of nationalism or nation states in Europe has been emerged. So the colonialism has been also spread all over the world. Again, like democratization was also emerged, and most of the countries, okay, colonial countries, they have got the independence, and they follow the concept of democratization and decolonization. So we have also seen like decolonization. So most of the Asian and South African countries, so they got the independence from the colonial empires, and rise of American state nations, integration of decolonized states into Westphalian state system. So these were the events what took place after the like Westphalia, okay, post Westphalian period. So now in the contemporary period, so in the contemporary period, the Westphalian state system, so the concept of Westphalian state system was challenged. Why? Because in the contemporary period we have seen so many international organizations, okay, international or non-state actors, emergence of non-state actors like supranational actors like United Nations, European Union, North Atlantic Treaty, ASEAN, OPEC, and other supranational organization. And the concept of globalization has been also emerged, and the rising of non-state actors. So this kind of the emergence of globalization or the emergence of the various non-state actors challenges the Westphalian state system in the contemporary world, and it also encompasses the global community, promoting and protecting human values, democratic principles, interdisciplinary, humanistic, and problem-solving approach. Society has been focusing on all these issues like humanistic, problem-solving approaches, and Because I've already told you, like IR is basically focuses on the day-to-day events of the state's behavior, how state behave in the international system. So that is the main focus of international relations. And after the and the concept of Westphalian state has been degrading. Why? Because we have seen so many non-state actors, okay, emergence of non-state actors in the international system. So that's why it is a dynamic in nature, it's changing with the time or events. Okay, now what are the major approaches to the international relations? So there are various perspectives, okay, or approaches of the international system. So the first perspective of international relation is realism. Okay, so realism basically visualize international relation as a constant struggle for power among states. So the concept, the realist, basically the Hans Morgenthau has defined international relation is what? It is a struggle for power among the nations. And realists also visualize or states that states are guided by their fear, self-preservation and self-interest in the anarchic state system. So the scholars like Thucydides, Hans Morgenthau, they were the classical realist thinker, and Kenneth Walls, who gave the concept of neo-realism. So they were the main proponents of the realism. So another most important approach of international relation is your liberalism or idealism. So it basically highlights or focuses on interdependence and cooperations among states by way of international organization, free trade, commerce and democracy. And most of the time states behave rationality and responsibly. So the thinkers are like Immanuel Kant, Robert Cohen and Joseph S. Nye. They were the liberal or idealist thinker. And third approach to the IR is your Marxism. So Marxism visualizes international system, state system as an exploitative, a capitalist design wherein capitalist class of the core states of Western Europe and North America in nexus with elite class of periphery states act as an instrument of capitalist class. So Marxism basically focuses on the class conflict between the haves and have-nots. So the core countries are your developed countries and the periphery countries are your developing countries. So we could always see the conflict between the class conflict between the core and the periphery, or the haves and the have-nots. So that is the main tenet of the Marxism. Okay, so last approach to the international relation is a feminist approach. So feminist approach basically traces and link exploitative and self-interested nature of international relation to gender inequality and domination by men. So according to the feminist theory, what they say is like international relations or international theory is based on they were gender biased. Okay, so the international system is dominated by the men. Okay, so that's why they criticize the international major theories of international like realism, liberalism and Marxism. So they criticize the dominant theories of international relations, because we could see like the gender inequality. So men were dominated the international system, and the women were sidelined from the knowledge construction in the international system. Okay, so these all are the main approaches to the international system. In the coming like lecture, we will be discussing in more detail about all these approaches, other theories of international relations. So who are the major contributors of international relations? So first one is your Hans J. Morgenthau, and he's also known as a father of political realism of international relations, and he wrote Politics Among Nations in 1948. It is like a realist school of thought, and according to Hans Morgenthau, international relation is struggle for power among nation states. Second author is your Thucydides. So he is also father of realism and the scientific history. So his Million Dialogue is regarded as a seminal work of international relations theory. Third one is your Kenneth Walls. So he gives the concept of neorealism, which basically focuses on the level of analysis, and he wrote Man, the State and War and Theory of International Politics. And again the Robert Cohen and the Joseph S. Nye, who founded the concept of neoliberalism. Okay, so they contributed in the area of neoliberalism. So they all are the main major contributors of international relations. Besides that, there are so many international scholars who contributed in these particular subjects. So in the summary, traditionally international relation is study of interactions and interrelations between sovereign states in international state system. However, its nature and scope underwent significant changes and expansion in the era of globalization. Okay, so now focus is shifting from state to non-state actors, decentralized, decentered interactions among multiple players in the more dynamic global system, and realism, liberalism, Marxism, and feminism provided major theoretical perspectives to study of the international relations. So realism basically focuses on international relation is struggle for power between states. Liberalism focuses on interdependence and cooperations. Marxism analysis state system through class struggle. For feminist, gender discrimination represents exploitation, violence, and struggle for power in the international system. For realist, Treaty of Westphalia is an landmark event ushering international state system and hence international relations, but Westphalian state system is under increasing attack of late. Okay, so the concept of Westphalian state has been basically focuses by the realist, but after the advent of or the emergence of various non-actors in the contemporary world era, so the concept of Westphalian state has been challenged. Okay, so this is all about the nature, scope, and meaning of the international relations. I hope you have understood a little bit. So if you have any kind of queries, doubt, please let me know. Okay, so thank you so much.